Hey everybody, this is the 3-speed holster, and this is going to be a short video, hopefully, and we're just going to talk about some of the main aspects of this holster. And there's no video editing or any kind of weird stuff like that. We're holster people, we're not video people, so kind of bear with me a little bit. So let's start with a little bit about the history of this holster. There's a lot of people don't realize, but this holster goes back many years. I believe we started selling to the public around early 2011, but the design and engineering goes back at least 3 years before that and 3 years after that. So this is a huge process in designing this holster. And another thing people don't realize is there was literally hundreds and hundreds of people involved in this project. And just undercover law enforcement alone from around the country, there was well over 100 officers involved. It kind of went viral the old-fashioned way, word of mouth. It just sort of took off in the undercover law enforcement community, mostly federal, which is kind of cool. I met a lot of neat people. But so that's sort of the history of this holster, and let's jump into this. For one, this is a custom-built holster, and more than that, it's custom-engineered. And it's done in a way like no other holster company in the world that I know of. Obviously, it's custom built for the gun and the spare magazine, or no spare magazine. But more than that, it's actually custom fit to the body of the user. And let me show you an example. So this is a small holster. This is for a skinny person like me. And here, this is a medium holster. I'm going to put it behind it and kind of see the difference. And right away, you'll notice the medium holster is a little bit longer than the small holster, but that's not really what makes it special. It's actually the structure in the holster, the angles that things are in. These angles change as the body gets bigger. The curvature of the top of this is a great way to sort of explain it too. Like you probably can't see this on camera because you can barely see it in real life. But the curvature of this small holster is different than the curvature of this medium holster. And as you go up and up and up in size to the extra and triple, quadruple extra larges, it changes more and more and more. Here's a better way to explain it, actually. So you can kind of get what I'm saying. On a small person, a skinny person, this holster is going to wrap around, and that curvature is going to be great. As a person's body gets bigger, that curvature lessens. It starts to plane out and bigger and bigger and bigger, so that it requires different structure in the holster and different angles, the way everything's set up. And that's done for many, many reasons. Concealability, comfort, maneuverability, to move with your body and whatnot, and stability of the draw. It makes a difference. So that's about the custom building. There's more on our website about all the things we're going to talk about. And also, get this out there, if anybody ever has a question, 7 days a week you can get a hold of us, email, phone. And the best way to get a hold of us, really the only way to get a hold of us, is go to our website and get our contact information from there. Don't contact us through YouTube or Facebook or Instagram or any of these other weird websites. Stuff gets lost in the mix. There's a lot of mean people on there too. We just kind of ignore a lot. Get a lot of spam in those places. But our website, if you contact us, worst case scenario, we're going to get back to you in less than 24 hours. That's worst case. Usually it's right away. So let's talk about the next aspect. Let's talk about concealability. Why does this thing conceal so well? Well, there's a lot of reasons for that. Obviously, like I said, it's custom built for your body, so everything's gonna function the most efficiently for your body. The bottom part of the holster is going to be pulled in. The top part of the holster is going to be laying flat. Everything's going to lay as flat as possible against your body. And I think one of the main reasons that this thing is so concealable, and grab this here, let's kind of explain it better. I think we're the only holster company in the world that does this too, custom canting. I've never even heard that term. So that's our term. We're claiming it. So custom cant, we actually custom cant the gun to the body size for the purpose of concealability. And what I mean by that is, what we do actually, we take the circumference of the customer's body, that's why we get your waist size, and we take the height of the gun, which is the length of the gun handle from here to here. We take those two numbers and we plug them into a formula, and it tells us exactly which angle to angle this gun onto your body when we mount it onto the holster, which the holster is mounted to your body. The best way to explain it is, let's see if I can show you on here, see if you can see it on video. Get down here. If I hold this against my body, and I'm a skinny person with this big gun, there's no cant whatsoever on this. If you can kind of see that gun handle starts to come up off the body. And since we're under the shirt, obviously that gun handle will be printing. That's usually the thing that prints when people have concealability issues. So I take the circumference of my body and the height of this particular gun, if we're making a holster to fit this gun, put that into the formula, and it'll tell us that we need to put it at this angle right there. Not too much, not too little, so that everything lays flat. And do you see what happened there? The gun's laying flat. And this works all the way around the body. No matter where you're wearing this, that same formula, just by the luck of the universe, works. And it keeps everything laying flat. So that right there takes care of probably 99% of people's concealability issues. So let's talk about the next thing, which is, I think, which is the most important. This holster has become popular because of its comfort. And that's great. It's extremely comfortable, and we'll talk more about why it's so comfortable later. But it kind of irks me a little bit because I feel like it should be most popular because of the way that it draws. That's what got this whole thing started. That's what got so many law enforcement involved in the very beginning too. Let me load this up. And by the way, this gun's unloaded. Don't worry, I'm not stupid. And put spare magazine. Spare magazine's loaded, but no worries, we're okay. So the draw of this thing. Let me put this on. I'm not gonna put it on all the way because there's plenty of videos that show that. This is actually a trick that a customer taught me just recently. If you want to just run out the door, take out the garbage, or run to the convenience store real quick, here's a good, easy way to put it on. Just tuck it in like that and wrap it around and strap it. And actually, if you're wearing jeans and you got a belt loop, it's even better if you run it through just that one single belt loop right there. That makes it even more stable. And strap it on, and look what happens. It's on, you're ready to go. And it comes off even faster. So you can go to the convenience store, take the garbage out, and boom. So anyway, the draw. This video is going to get long, watch. I'm trying to keep it short, but here we go. What makes this unique? The way that it draws. Have you ever noticed uniformed officers walking around town? They have their gun out away from their body like that. That's so they can get their thumb back there. When you're carrying concealed carry, you can't do that because the gun has to lay flat against your body. So the way they train you to draw, when you draw, you put your thumb on the back of the slide, you draw up, you wrap your thumb, can you see that? You wrap your thumb around, and then you come up and fire. In a high-stress situation, when your life is about to end as far as your mind is concerned, those extra little movements can be tricky and have cost people their lives. People that get a bad grip on the gun, or even worse, drop the gun. Once a gun comes out in a situation where somebody else has a gun, once that other person sees the gun, it's going to be answered with gunfire. So you better be doing this thing right. You only get one chance. So what makes this holster different is that we actually take that concept, not only being able to get your thumb back there, but we take it even a step further than that. Watch what happens when I draw this. When you lead with your thumb. You search with your fingers. So if you're not looking down there, what you do is you come down, and as soon as your finger finds that gun handle, your thumb knows exactly what to do. It's like reading Braille. And you dig down in there. And I just did that quick. But you see what happens? Let me hide my pale belly there. It turns into a cone. Now let me do it slow. What happens is your thumb comes in, and the moment that your thumb goes behind and your gun kind of helps too because it guides it in there, but the moment that your thumb penetrates behind the gun, between the gun and the back plate, you see what happens? It begins to cone. The deeper it goes, the more it cones. And so even if you're coming up here, no matter what angle you come in, there's lots of room for error in here. Well, actually, there's this much room for error. That cone is going to guide your thumb down into the proper firing position every single time. It's really hard to not get a perfect grip on this gun. And let me talk a little bit about why that's important. If you've ever taken a training class, if that's not the first thing they teach you, well, they teach you over and over again the importance of having proper grip placement on the gun. And I don't think even most trainers really understand the dynamics behind all of that. The idea is what you're doing is you're lining the barrel up with your index finger. And your index finger is connected to your brain in a way that none of your other fingers are connected to your brain. And there's a reason for that. Thousands of years ago, imagine, we're in the jungles and we're hunting, and one of the people in the party sees prey, something that we want to hunt, off in the distance. It's a tiny little speck. We use our index finger to point, and our index finger is extremely accurate to find that prey. That's how we survived. And it's to communicate to everybody else in the tribe exactly what you see. So you can say the same about tiny little poisonous bugs maybe on the ground. You need to be able to point out those little dangers. It's extremely accurate. So the idea is that when you have proper grip placement, and guns are made, so that it feels right when you're in the proper grip placement. However, if I take this gun and I move it out of kilter just a little bit, did you see it move? It was like a millimeter. It was a hair. It was very little. And what happens is it's a hair at the muzzle, but it's not lined up with your finger. It's off alignment with your finger by a hair here. However, when that triangulates out, even just a few feet away, you are now feet off target. And actually, here's a great way to explain it. We've all heard these stories where you have like 5 cops, right? And you have one bad guy. And the bad guy, he's shooting at the cops all of a sudden. And the 5 cops, they're human beings. They're going to go through the same emotions that we all do. Well, hopefully you do. 'Cause if you're not freaking out a little bit, you're probably a sociopath. But so anyway, all 5 cops draw their guns and they fire and they unload on this guy because he's shooting at them. And they miss him, and maybe they only hit him once, and they fire like 100 rounds. And how do you fire 100 rounds and only hit the guy once or not at all? And the reason is because those police, when they train with the proper firing position. You even have those high-stress training with someone blowing a blowhorn behind you. It's not the same as real life. Most officers actually never have to fire their weapon in their whole careers. And when they do, it's just once-in-a-lifetime thing, the real situation. So there's really no way to completely prepare for that kind of thing. So what happens is those officers miss because when they drew, they were off kilter a little bit. In their mind, in their brain from training, they're aiming with their finger. You're not even thinking about it. But their finger's pointing at the bad guy, but the gun is off kilter and they're missing them by feet. So that's why it took so many rounds to stop the guy. This holster, it's kind of like cheating. It removes that element of mistake. I mean, if you get this thing, it's almost impossible to get a bad grip. So that's very important, and I think that's what this thing should really be popular for. So I want to hear more people talk about that. So let's get into the next thing. Comfort. That's what everybody seems to talk about. Why is this thing so comfortable? And there's a reason why it is. For one, years and years and years of work. And for two, actually comfort was taken seriously because like everything else in this holster, from the materials that we chose to even the type of holster that it is, it's clothing independent. The reason it's clothing independent is because the core philosophy behind everything in this holster is about that moment of self-defense. And comfort was considered a tactical advantage by reasoning of a less fatigued officer is a tactical advantage. So that was enough for us to say, okay, let's tackle comfort full force. There's 5 different strategies that we used to accomplish the comfort that this thing has. Obviously, one strategy is the fact that it's custom built for the different body sizes, so everything runs efficiently. Another thing is the gear off body design. The gear never touches your body. Let me throw this on. Actually, I'm going to throw it on outside so you can kind of see. And no matter what size gun you have, big gun, small gun, the holster is built for the gun, built for the magazine, or no magazine, and it's built for the body. And another reason that we want to keep the gear off the body is, and this happens, believe it or not, I've heard stories. One that comes to mind is a guy who was carrying small of the back and was in a hand-to-hand situation. It was non-lethal, and got thrown onto his back, and the gun went into his kidney, and it was a debilitating injury. It took him out of the fight. So these things are serious. That won't happen with this holster. There's a series of, again, material choices. There's a hard material here, and as you go back through the holster, it's layered. Another thing, it looks thick, doesn't it? But it's not thick. When it's pressed up against the body, it gets extremely thin. But it's layered. You go from hard material to soft material to hit the body. Like other traditional holsters, you're basically putting a hard object, the gun, into another hard object, like a Kydex holster, and then putting it on a soft object. So we kind of thought that through. We're trying to take a hard object and attach it to a soft object. So in doing that, we blend that in so that that hard object isn't touching your body. So those days of guns poking into you are over with this holster. So gear off body design, that's a huge part of the comfort issue. Maneuverability. Again, the fact that these are custom built for all the different body sizes. One thing that comes into mind is being able to maneuver with it. And a lot of testing was done with like literal ground and pound training. So guys were on the floor wearing these holsters with their gear, going through hand-to-hand combat situations. So you need to be able to maneuver. There's no position that you're going to get in where it's not going to function or whatnot. Another part of maneuverability is the fact that it is gear, or it is clothing independent. So you have the freedom to wear this thing anywhere. I mean, like I said, we have a lot of people that wear small to back, 3 o'clock, wherever. If you can reach the gun, it'll run there. But on top of that, you have the ability to adjust it. You can move it down, up, to the side, diagonally. This way you can wear it at 12 o'clock, 12:01, 3 o'clock, or 2:59. There's so many options. Another thing is if you're wearing it 8 hours, you're wearing it up here, and you want to change it to a different position for the second half of your 16-hour shift, you can wear it over here. Wear it over here. So that helps with comfort. And fourth thing, and probably the biggest thing, is weight distribution. Again, that's where all these years and years of design work went into. We actually had engineers that were helping us out with this thing, which was pretty neat. People were helping us for free. It was pretty amazing. All the arches and the curves and everything in this holster is all surrounded around weight distribution. And actually, here's a better way to explain it. This is something I just recently thought of. Let's say this is an analogy. You take a 2-pound steak, and I know this is silly, but stay with me. So take a 2-pound steak and attach it to your belt like a traditional holster. And anybody that's new to concealed carry, or even old-timers who, if you think back, you'll remember, those first couple of days of carrying, it was tough. That weight, after an hour, it's no big deal. 2 hours, 3 hours, 4 hours, 10 hours, that really starts weighing on you. And then day after day, your leg is getting sore. The first day, your leg is going to be sore. Eventually, your muscles adapt, you build up strength and everything, but forever, that thing is always off kilter. It's always anchored at one point. Now, even if you take those holsters that have 2 clips, that's to distribute weight. You're still, that weight is anchored at these 2 little points, which is on one section of your body. What this holster does, again with let me strap this on here, again with it being custom built for every body size, is it's attached, actually, and here's another interesting point, even other clothing independent holsters out there, the weight is distributed off of 2 points with the gear hanging in the middle, sort of hanging off of those 2 anchors. This isn't. This is distributed all the way across from the bottom to the top. It's holding on to the maximum amount of muscles possible. There's a thing called perceived weight. Obviously, we're not magicians. We can't change the weight of your gear. But we can change the perceived weight. And like I was saying, back to that steak, it's the same as taking that steak that was hanging off of there, that 2-pound steak, and eating it and taking that into your body and into your belly, and now it's become a part of your core weight. Now it's balanced and you don't even feel the weight anymore. Obviously, this isn't like eating your gun, but it's damn near close because of so many muscles that this thing is riding on. It's kind of like 2 people carrying something next to 10 people carrying something. You think 2 muscles compared to 10 muscles. It becomes perceived weight becomes less. So that's a huge part. That's one thing you'll notice right away. And you get this holster and you put your gear into it, whatever holster you were carrying before, you're going to notice a dramatic difference in the way the weight of that gear. It's almost magical. So fifth strategy for comfort, heat and sweat channeling system. And the materials on this holster, the material on the front is actually different than the material on the back, and it's for a reason. The material on the front was chosen because of the way that it grabs onto your clothing and keeps everything stable. And I hear this from a lot of customers. It actually helps keep your pants up. It's kind of neat. The back of the holster, which goes against your body, there's these little designs in here, and those aren't there for looks. The company that created this material is here in America, and they did a lot of research into this and a lot of development on this material. And those aren't designs; those are functional. Along with the antifungal and all the other space-age cool stuff with this material, what those channels do is they're micro grooves, and they actually channel away heat and sweat away from your body. Rather than other materials, you hear about that sweat wicking. Well, what's sweat wicking? The way to say that is sweat soaking. It soaks the sweat up into the holster. It makes it kind of stinky. This thing will never get stinky. I have one that I've been wearing for 3 years straight. And this sounds nasty, but I've never washed it. I've never washed it for a reason, because I want to see how long it'll go. And I'm telling you, I can hand that thing to you. You'd never know it was never washed. It's fresh. It's amazing. But the channeling system, not only does it channel away sweat and heat, I can't speak, but it helps in the stability too. And another thing cool is no matter how much you sweat in this thing, or if you sweat like crazy in a hot environment, then you go into an air-conditioned environment, it will actually dry off while you're wearing it. It's pretty crazy. But now here's the main reason I think that we chose that material. Because no matter how much you sweat like crazy. If you're in a situation where you got to defend your life and you're sweating, when you go to draw your gun, that sweat, that liquid, will have no effect on the stability of this holster. It will never slip and slide. When you go to draw that gun, it comes out just as smooth as it did when it was dry, which is extremely smooth. There's another thing about the draw. When that thing cones, the retention on this is a friction retention holster, which, obviously if I turn this upside down, it's going to fall out. But when this is on properly, even when I do it like the quick way where I put it through my belt loop, your pants help hold it through. The curvature pulls tight on this thing, and everything stays secure. Like I said, this thing was tested, ground and pound. Federal agents had to use this thing, so they had to be to their retention standards. Obviously, no concealed carry holster should have any kind of retention device. And so where was I going? I'm getting off track here. We're talking about heat and sweat channeling. Yes, we covered that. I think that's it. So let's end the video because we're getting pretty long here. And I like to tell everybody too, if you ever have any questions, always feel free to contact us. So we love talking to people. And the best way to contact us, excuse me, is to go to our website. Don't contact us through YouTube or Facebook or Instagram or any of these other weird web pages that we never really go to anyway. Go to our website, and there's our phone number and our email address. If you contact us through it that way, you'll get a response. Worst case scenario, it'll be less than 24 hours. And usually it's right away. And that's it. You have any questions, always feel free. There's no such thing as a dumb question. And thanks for watching this long, crazy video, and have a great day. Thank you.